Live your life, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for war?
Yeah, rear naked choke of Cocker Spaniel, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
Change the neighborhood up.
Conspiracy Farm. Go. Check it out.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vladimir Petrov. I am captain of the Russian army, and you are American dog. And tonight, a special guest, former Russian Spetsnaz Owner, Sonny Puzikas. That's my best Russian accent right there. But I am stoked
That was actually pretty good, you know?
I've been working on it for a minute. But seriously, it's awesome to be back with you guys. Another installment for the Archives. Champ, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Look, the lineup we've had this week has been amazing, and having Sonny on is the cherry on top, bro.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk. I mean, since all of this has popped off, we kind of brought him up today. I'm like, my goodness, man, who better to get on to get this kind of perspective? Sonny Puzikas, former Russian Spetsnaz, just badass, man. Friend of the show. Sonny, how you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm doing good, gentlemen, and you?
Well, you know, hanging out during a global pandemic, just another Saturday night.
Yep, just another day in our lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
go ahead.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
just, yeah. Where do we start, man? Where do we start at this point? Just give me your thoughts, Sonny. Pat sent me something you typed up and posted the other day, and
Which was badass. People can go to my page and read that. If they want. It's incredible. Yeah,
and it's
very well put.
definitely gives kind of a background on what we're going to be talking about today. Just kind of, if you can, from your background and everything, encapsulate kind of what you said in that, because it really echoed my sentiments, Pat's sentiments, on a lot of people's sentiments on how we're seeing through a lot of what's going on right now, and they're playing it like it's a checkers game, but really it's a real big chess game with some big stakes playing out right now. What are your thoughts, my friend?
You know, this is a world championship of chess games in this arena, and you know, as I alluded in that post, regardless what people believe, whether it was, you know, somehow planned and orchestrated event, or this was a random event that happened, they just happened to be falling during these hard and interesting times as far as what's going on financially, economically, and so forth. What this event is unprecedented about is that, you know, it's the new age. What happens in Wuhan province, China, hits the streets of Los Angeles within a minute. And the very, very personalized and individualized.
Froze us for a second. Go ahead. Say that again, because my Facebook Live viewers were not able to hear because my computer froze for a second there, Sonny. I apologize.
Are we good now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we were good on our end, but go ahead.
You know, this new age with ability instantly to see what's going on the other side of the world. You know, we never had that with a crisis of such proportions. Some people will say, with exception of 9/11, I have to say that this will eclipse 9/11 by leaps and bounds.
I agree.
By leaps and bounds. Actually, if you look at the dollar signs and everything, just what's on the paper already, it already has.
Yeah.
You know, and but where this is different, you know, while 9/11, you can say, you know, again, I'm not going into what happened there, who did what.
Right.
Regardless, I'm going more, so to speak, on the consumer end, on the receiving end, how it affects people. This one has no borders, and the overwhelming, individualized, personalized fear, it's unlike anything that world has ever seen. And you know, it's interesting because you can tell people you're stupid, you panicking, you acting irrational, and all that stuff. Whether it's calculated or accidental, that's human nature. You know, as yesterday I listened to you guys talking to Chris Paronto, you know, and I laughed because it was interesting. You know, a lot of people now quoting stuff from the Men in Black, right, where they says, you know, individual can be very high intelligence, but when you put it into a tribal environment, into a mob, it becomes amoeba kind of IQ. And this is, you know, in the short couple of weeks, this has been achieved on the worldwide scale. That's what bothers me. It's not the virus that bothers me. I'm not discounting what it can be. I'm not discounting that number of people can die, and I'm not. But how it affects the collective psyche worldwide.
And going, so since you brought up 9/11, and I mean, we've talked. I mean, you don't have to go down this rabbit hole if you don't want to, but we can have this conversation. We've had this. We brought this up multiple times, whether we were talking about 9/11 or this certain level of the social engineers implementing this trauma-based conditioning, scare the shit out of people. And then they will be just willing to accept anything, just like 9/11. But like you said, it's worse now because it's just like we talked about last night on the show. I think it's just bigger. Like you said, there's no borders. I think it's just bigger than that. But what are your thoughts on kind of the social engineering aspect? And we're seeing the ripple effect from it. Let me ask you, and this will kind of lead in hopefully to your answer. Are you seeing the panic, if you will? Does it match the numbers? And to me, it doesn't, but I don't know what your answer is. But regardless of that, we're seeing all these other ingredients of social collapse. Just the economy alone could be collapsing. People are out of work. They don't have any money. They're already putting the military on the street. They're saying this could be going for 18 months. Imagine the level of civil unrest, cancel of elections, et cetera, et cetera. How do you see this playing out? You there, Sonny?
You got us, Sonny?
You know, can you guys hear me? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Okay.
Well. Okay. So here are my thoughts. You know, again, some people will get their panties in the watch. Some people will get butthurt. Some people will be upset because that's irresponsible talk. Look, looking at the numbers, you know, they started, what the fear started? Death rate of 2% to 7%, right? Well, now we're obviously seeing the death rate only, even with a limited number of testing still being done, it's getting closer to 1% and will fall further down. So at the end of the day, when this is all done, as far as the virus itself concerned, we probably will be slightly higher than the death rate of probably, but maybe not. And if you look at the system, it would be required to. You guys hear me?
Breaking up a little bit.
Because I have perfect connection with you guys. I can hear you. I can see you. I can see everything real time.
Yeah, we can hear you well. I can hear you okay.
It's just from my end, it's a little breakup as well. But yeah, keep going, bro. Keep going.
And I agree with you, Jeffrey. These numbers nowhere near, you know, the ratio that we see, what kind of panic it has created. And it is, I think it is being socially engineered, and whether it comes from above, whether it comes chaotically and sporadically, you know, but even today in Dallas, you know, there's a toddler in Dallas who was diagnosed with coronavirus. Think about what they think. Think about what kind of fears they're hitting, what every mother is going to start to think.
Right.
What every wife will tell her husband. You know what I mean? They hitting when we're talking about vulnerable portions of population, they hitting the most vulnerable, which is mothers, which is women.
Children, yeah.
Women are, you know, it's natural. They want order, they want security, they want protection. Who they gonna ask it from?
Exactly.
And that's how social engineering happens, because, you know, there's this promised golden freaking dome sitting there of state providing the comfort, the security, you know, and all those stuffs.
Yeah.
And you know, and then a lot of things become justified, you know, and next thing you know is, like I wrote in that post, you know, the nice neighborhood police officer in blue uniform that tells us to stay at home so that we don't get infected. Same things happened in 1917. Same things happened in 1933 in Germany. Yeah. Just few months or few short years later, that same gentleman in the blue uniform will be putting people on the trains and sending them whether to Auschwitz or Siberia.
Yeah, again, I brought this up many a times when it was talking of the PBS documentary called Genocide, Worse Than War, where that very thing was talked about, whether it was Srebrenica, you know, the Balkans War, whether it was Tutsis and Hutus. Your next door neighbor in a quick moment could become the one that's hacking you up with a machete in situations like this. I know it sounds crazy to some people, but it's happened.
Well,
There's a historic precedent for
when
it.
you say Tutsis and Hutus, people don't understand
That
what that means.
the genocide in Rwanda. There's been genocide. Yeah.
In 90 days, that was in the, what, 90s?
Yeah, mid-90s.
Where 800,000 people were hacked to death with machetes simply from the media pitting one group of people against the other. They were all the same people.
No, there was definitely ethnic differences.
tribes.
The Hutus and because of the colonization of the Belgians and shit. Yeah, there's definitely was some differences.
Sure, but what I'm saying is the media could fuel the flames to make one group of people
For sure.
go over, and it's not like it was white and black. It was black and black.
Right.
And they hacked 800,000 people to death in 90 days.
Over the course of
That's
a summer.
almost a million people. So the media is capable of doing some horrible, horrible things, and they're doing the same thing today with the way they're fueling the flames. And what I want to get to, Sonny, is what's really important is I see this as kind of when the Soviet Union broke up, there was communism and it turned into the Wild West. Black market took off. A lot of billionaires were created, a lot of crime, a lot of organized crime, a lot of everything took over as the Soviet Union broke up. But we're going the opposite direction with this. We're going from a more free society to potentially a more socialist and communist society, with the payouts going to every citizen, with bank bailouts, with every business being bailed out, and all this other stuff. It's just vice versa. But either way, it's people were fighting for freedom in Russia, where people are fighting for safety here now all of a sudden because it's created that way.
But look, Pat, here's the interesting thing. According to the ideology of revolution in 1917, right? It was about taking the riches from those who have and distributing it to people, right?
Right.
They distributed it to people $1,000 checks. A lot of people, deep down in their hearts, they go like, I would want to tear it apart. But 99% of the people, they won't. Why?
Because they can't.
Because guess what? They already know that by the time the month of April is done, there's going to be a minimum of 5 million new unemployed people.
In each state.
Everyone
at least highly populated
Everyone
state.
is scared. Everyone is scared they're going to starve. Everyone is scared of what's going to happen. And as I said, when you individualize the fear, you're creating a fucking herd of scared animals.
Yeah, dude.
It's as simple as that. And
Yeah.
It's been tried many times and it's been perfected.
Yes.
But they found a perfect opportunity, or intentional, that it has no borders, it has no race, it has no religion, it has nothing. It shoots straight down to a human soul.
But and as we see, this fear winds up necessitating this huge control grid that winds up jumping on us. And I just posted today a speech from Aldous Huxley in the late 50s or early 60s, talking about how they've mapped it out, how they understand, and through these different beta tests of each kind of fear cycle, they map out how people react. And data, they read the data. It's just metrics. They understand. We're just ones and fucking zeros to them. Whether the Boston bombing was legit, and they just like, how do we gauge the metrics of locking down a huge city? Or last year with the measles thing.
Let me throw something at you, Jeffrey.
Yes, sir.
Let me throw something at you. Have you ever read about the thesis that Hillary Clinton wrote on the work of Saul Alinsky?
Saul Alinsky, yeah. No, I know who Saul Alinsky is, but I didn't read.
We know Saul Alinsky's work. We don't know her work, though.
I know she's a big disciple of Saul Alinsky.
She wrote a college thesis on his work. That's
Right.
the interesting thing.
Yeah.
But if you put what's going on now in the context of what Saul Alinsky wrote, as far as taking over healthcare, this and all these steps, I don't know if there's more perfect fit than this.
Right.
And people can couch it in a socialist, communistic, whatever you want to say. This is a globalist agenda that's been mapped out for decades. And we often get caught up in the red and blue and stuff, but at the end of the day, the same control mechanism is still going to be doing the same thing. And when we move into this next evolution of possibly cashless society, the smart grid, energy-based, a resource-based economy, moving to a energy-based economy, you know what I mean, giving you credits on how much energy it takes to be you type shit. Yep. I mean, the ramifications of this is
basically
huge.
Basically what they have in China right now.
Yeah, exactly. China's the beta test. We keep saying this on the show. Absolutely. Social credit, it's all coming, dude. I mean, that's the thing. I've said this to you, Sonny, and I don't know if you've heard. You probably have. The only things that are open right now, a lot of them are just for to go, and a lot of them aren't taking cash. It's just digital, because you don't want to touch that cash because you might get the might get the
Fake
Modelo virus. You know what I
cash.
mean?
Yeah. So let me give you guys this question. I have a comment from Matt Ireland that says, and Matt, I don't think. Look, Matt, I'm not gonna. Well, I might call you out a little bit here. Matt doesn't necessarily get it. He said that money they are giving us is already ours, so it's not socialism. Well, Matt, let me break something to you, brother.
Yeah.
If it wasn't socialism, they wouldn't already fucking took it from you. How's that? Okay, so wake up, son.
Well, and that's the crazy part. And I don't know if I just said this, but I mean, they hyperinflate, they flood all this cash into the economy, which is hyperinflation 101. Sounds like a broken record, so I've said that a lot this week. And then they give you $1,000 and be like, hey, go, what are you going to buy? What are you going to buy with $1,000 that don't mean shit, that isn't worth shit? And everything's closed anyway.
5% of what they've stolen?
Right, exactly. Right.
Well,
and of course, nobody.
Jeff, I think the only free thing to do with socialist money is to buy guns and ammo with that $1,000
Hey,
check,
dude,
right?
who are you telling? No doubt.
I'm going shopping with you, Jeff, and I'm going to make sure you spend it on the right things. If you're going to go socialist, you better go militant socialist.
Believe
with
me,
weapons.
yeah, I second that emotion. And again, let me ask you. I mean, as these different layers of this just keep stacking on each other, and I get it why people don't get it because there's so much fucking to it. The National Defense Authorization Act was something that came out not long ago during Obama. I think it was maybe Bush started it, and then Obama authorized it, and then Trump just renewed it. It authorizes the indefinite detention of Americans, no legal precedent or no legal due process. And an assassination of Americans, as well as they legalized the use of propaganda on Americans. We know they've been doing it forever, but now they legalized it. So now all this bullshit, all this new shit they're saying now, it's legal, whether it's real or not, and whether they're exacerbating it. And we know the news has a great tendency to do that. What are your thoughts on them now being able to legally use propaganda, especially during situations like this?
Well, I mean, look. Pat just mentioned at the beginning when we started talking, about propaganda when they send you a warning that you are spreading news that they don't like. They
Right.
call it fake news or disinformation or
Against community standards.
and all that stuff. Here's the thing that I think a lot of Westerners are very, very slow to understand and see. If you guys think that you live in the world where you're receiving unbiased reporting and news, you better wake the fuck up.
Right.
Because you are not. You are not. All of these major channels, all of these major outfits and everything else, to include the very platform we're on, the Facebooks, everything else, they are not unbiased, free information exchange stock markets. They are not.
Right.
Yeah. And as far as the whole spreading of propaganda and all that stuff, look, man, I have a quick funny story. I went back to Eastern Europe a number of years ago. Well, I think about 5 years ago, to visit my mom because she was in bad health and she has passed since. But I was watching news in Lithuania, a member of European Union, free democratic country and all that stuff. And, most people don't even know it here that in countries of the European Union, they very, very easily passed the laws pretty much outlawing watching certain channels.
Right.
Certain television channels, as in news from Russia. In Lithuania, it's a criminal thing now.
Really?
To transmit Russian news because they don't like it. And if people think that somehow this cannot happen here, I'll repeat myself. You better wake up.
Well, and we've said it so many times before. Look at what is there? I don't even know anymore. 5, 6 companies that own all these different hundreds of media outlets, where it's magazine, radio, TV, internet.
Yep.
I mean, it's just absolutely controlled. Well, and another thing, you've wargame stuff. We talked to Pronto last night about wargaming, these kind of things. I don't know if you've heard about Event 201, something that went down. Basically a war game of this very thing. Bill Gates, World Economic Council or World Economic League, whatever it is. Just, same thing. And if you read the language, it starts out in South America with hogs or whatever, then it's bats. I mean, everything that's playing out right now almost to the T, and it's a coronavirus response. Thoughts on that, my friend?
I think maybe for most people it's time to to kind of take off the blindfold and go, how many coincidences over the number of years can happen that all lead to the same final outcome? How many things can be coincidental?
Right.
You know what I mean? One, it's like, like how many times the husband accidentally gets drunk and cheats on his wife? Right? Accidentally, right? Once, twice. When he does it 12 times, it's not accidental.
I slipped, baby. I slipped.
I slipped, and my penis just fell in. Seriously, guys, let's wake up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we've had that conversation. I was on a show the other day, and we brought it up, and I've said it before too. This mass Stockholm syndrome we have. How many fucking times do these people have to lie to you for you to realize? How many times you have to be punched in the face, Sonny or Pat, to realize you're in a fight? Not many. And with every,
Pat,
Pat
has experience. Pat, you punch pretty quickly back, right?
Still, even for an old guy, I can still move pretty good.
Right.
There you go.
But again,
no doubts about that.
Sonny, talk. I apologize. Without waking up your kid and your wife, try to talk really loud so that all my viewers can hear you on Facebook. They are wanting to hear you more.
Okay, I'll talk louder. I'll bring the phone closer to my face so they can see my unshaved.
There you go. There you go. So let me ask you. When you go back to, the media, it's incredible to me that most Americans, or a vast majority of them, when I say something like, "Hey, look up Operation Mockingbird," pay attention to this. Americans are under the assumption that the media here, as you said, is giving you unbiased news, and that everything in communist China and Russia and everywhere else is all controlled by the government. Well, I've got news for you folks. The media here is controlled by the government. That's all there is to it, because we know that at the time of JFK's assassination, there were over 40 CIA operatives in high up positions within our media. That was when JFK was killed. That was before I was even born, or 2 years after I was born, whatever. But it's rampant, and it's obvious when I sit there and watch it. I could see it. God, I could see it when I was in high school and in my early 20s. I went, these guys are lying through their teeth. And if I could see it, why can't other people? What is the block? What is the cognitive dissonance that these people are suffering from, where they simply won't open up their minds and accept the fact that they and just say, yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. When we tell people our government and other governments funded and armed ISIS and al-Nusra in Syria, we're the ones that did it, and they still deny it when it's actually documented. It's facts. Over 300 flights of Silkway Airlines alone full of depleted uranium artillery rounds, white phosphorus weapons, all kinds of small arms going straight into Turkey, straight into Benghazi, Libya, and distributed into Syria. And people still won't fucking listen, dude. They still won't listen. It's so frustrating to me.
It's bad. People have, you heard the saying that hard men make good times. Good times make soft men. Soft men make hard times.
Right.
We are in that stage.
Hard times are here, brother.
Where soft men are already made very hard times because we are upon very hard times.
Right.
And here's the one big characteristic of what's behind meaning soft men. It's not that they weak, don't have muscle, can't bench press 350 or whatnot. No, it's more that they are soft in here. They are very easily manipulated into what they would want to believe to live a fucking comfortable life. And comfortable life what? Is believe that what we do is always right and good. Is believe that everything that's being done in our name is for our good. And believing is much easier than questioning.
Right.
Because that's the difference between the follower and the student.
But someone said, it's easier to, what did they say? It's easier to fool somebody than convince them that they've been fooled.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that the confirmation bias, everything you said. I mean, everybody. I've said whatever. I hate to keep saying that, but everyone has their opinion, or doesn't have an opinion. Their opinion has them And it just, whatever you want to call it, identity politics, extreme patriot or extreme tribalism. It's just, it creates these blinders where you could, help me out, ladies and gentlemen. I said this on a show that I was on the other day. Every war for the last 100 years, beginning of the last century till now, it's like they've literally all been based off bullshit or a lie. Whether the beginning of the Spanish-American War in the main, World War I, World War II, the Gulf of Tonkin, incubators for Persian Gulf War, bullshit weapons of mass destruction, Syria, Libya, it's all been bullshit. It's all been this military-industrial complex.
Stuff.
Exactly, for sure. I'm just saying like the major stuff. No, you're exactly right. I mean, all the stuff we've done. It's all been this now, I like to call it the military-industrial pharmaceutical telecommunication complex, and that just keeps expanding and all these different incursions, whether it's overt war like this. And that's the other thing I want to get your question on. In my opinion, the optics of war as we've seen it is just bad PR. So I think there's going to be more of an introduction of this asymmetrical warfare, covert stuff we don't see, cyber stuff we don't see, biological stuff like this that we don't see, and we're always too busy reacting, so we're never addressing who's really doing it, but the effect is still, whatever it is still having its effect. What are your thoughts on this being asymmetrical warfare and more of that kind of stuff to come?
That is the beauty of asymmetrical warfare, because asymmetrical warfare, just like in the fight, and Champ here can chime in, if you are a very rhythmical puncher, where you punch 1-2, 1-2, 1-2,
predictable,
people will catch your rhythm.
Right.
You become predictable, and you are not easy to read. The idea of asymmetrical warfare is that I call it combative hip hop, because it has that very broken rhythm, and it comes from all directions to very different targets, and
That's
usually
awesome.
it doesn't come for the most obvious targets. It hits you somewhere where you go like, well, that's not going to hurt much, but it did get your attention there.
Right.
And what happens is basically, human attention, human brain, human existence is kind of like a transformer. It can only handle certain amount of electricity that's being put in it to change the voltage. Okay, but with this asymmetrical warfare, it's overload. We constantly sparking because there's too much coming in.
Interesting.
And the outcome is that we're dropping the ones that seem insignificant and focus on the big ones that they present to us as big ones.
Right.
Big fist in front of your face, but there is a knife up your ass.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Right.
Which one is going to get you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, Sonny, Bill Camper, who's a longtime friend of mine, and Gabe Lemley just posted something in Russian. I don't know if you can see that on your screen.
I can switch to Facebook really quick and take a look at it, because I'm on Skype right now with you guys. But
Anyway, Bill Camper had a good question, and he said, why are we not getting any news of coronavirus out of your home country, Russia? What is the suppression of the news coming out of Russia? Why is there nothing?
Okay, well, for one, there are cases of coronavirus found in Russia. In Moscow alone, I believe they up to 80 or 90 cases of coronavirus.
Okay.
Some doctor, some female doctor from some organization, that if you take a closer look, you may possibly find that organization is getting financial support from somewhere which has nothing to do with Russia. But that's just my guess. That's just conspiracy.
Well, we don't entertain conspiracies around here, Sonny. You got to tighten up, brother.
No, I'm sure not at all. That would be fake news, right? But she puts out this rumor that like a wildfire spreads through all the media just today, about how Russia is using the same tactics the Soviet Union used in 1986 with Chernobyl, and we're not getting the real numbers, we're not getting the real information, and so forth. There is accessibility to Russian television, and there's some serious people that, again, it's opinions, but use your own brain,
Right.
And people say, yeah, there is an increase in comparison to last year of cases of pneumonia, the lung infection in Russia, something like 20% increase. They go like, well, it's really all of those patients coming in with the lung distress and breathing difficulties, they are being tested and there is no coronavirus. Well, why there's so many people with breathing difficulties? Because there's freaking worldwide panic.
Breaking up a little bit, brother.
Yeah.
Got a little break up there, Sonny.
Not sure why they're shutting him down.
And he has a simple during the cold season. Is it coming over? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're hearing you now better.
That last chunk broke up, bro.
All right. So the last chunk was basically that, they're saying that there's significant increase of cases of pneumonia in Russia, right? So they're checking and they're talking to Russian doctors there, and they go like, yeah, because there's more people going to the hospitals to get checked because they are panicking because they may have coronavirus. That's the 20% increase. It's not necessary that Russian government, those evil Putin lackeys, are hiding the information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's what I've said about since Trump opened up, money for free tests. More tests are going to mean more positive results, right? And that I think they're going to obviously use that to make it seem like it's just spreading more and it's crazy when in fact they've had it already. And I don't know if you've heard our other show with Pat. Like I think he had it. Like other people have had it for a while. And it's not this obviously deadly thing that they say it is. But I think they're going to use this spike that's about to come from these more tests to necessitate all of this that's coming, martial law or whatever it is that people keep rumoring.
Well, and I also want to ask, as far as Russia, have they shut down industry and businesses and everything over there yet?
Not to the best of my knowledge in Russia, no.
Okay.
I know that in some countries in Eastern Europe, especially members of European Union, yes, they have. And in pretty hard ways.
Yeah.
Well, and as we extrapolate, like you said, it almost at this point, like I agree that the die has been cast. It doesn't matter who threw the rock into the pond. The ripple effect is going to be fucking up a lot of things. But as we address, and as we will address, as this thing goes away, did you hear about the members of Congress and other individuals who sold their stock before this whole thing popped off? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I heard about it, and I'm positive that every American is like absolutely shocked and confused that our officials in government are fucking corrupt. Who would have ever thought?
Well, and then the irony, Dianne Feinstein, who just a while ago got pinched for having a freaking Chinese spy in her midst for 20 years, and nothing happened.
Her limo driver.
It was her fucking driver.
Yeah, but I mean. They come back. I heard some more people say, well, I mean, if you had, by the virtue of your job, if you had information that tells you, by the virtue of your job, you're not looking for it, you're not paying.
On us, damn it.
He's good. Keep going, Sonny. Keep going, Sonny.
Good stuff coming.
All right, you hear me?
Yep, keep going.
All right. So they say, by virtue of your job, if you don't pay bribes, nothing, you just received information that, simply because that's your job. Wouldn't you do the same? And my answer to that is, by virtue of you accepting that job of being elected official, no, you take an oath not to do that.
Right. Well, in the complete lack of accountability, this wasn't even a theory. This was national news, and she's still sitting there. She's still sitting there.
I don't think they're going to impeach her. No.
I mean, it just lends itself to the kind of frustration that my man Chris Paranto had to have felt when he fucking saw that freaking stankin' witch Hillary Clinton sit up there and be like, at this point, there's freaking difference. You know what I mean? It just, the lack of accountability just has to drive people fucking nuts, dude. And even from this, I mean, obviously, we're going to find out later on down the line what's all playing out, because not everybody, clearly, but a lot of people are just seeing through this. The reaction's not matching the threat. And what all's going down, everything getting shut down, and the ramifications, not just economic, but social, man. There's going to be so many people in the streets tricking off. Again, I say it for the 20th time. Pat had the best statement. Look at what people are doing in stores to each other, and their bellies are still full. Yeah. In a few weeks, that's not going to be the case. That 9-meal rule, you miss 9 meals. It's all of this is game changing, and we're just at the beginning of it.
Yeah, we are in the very, very early stages of it.
And And people are posting again right now on Facebook. My son thinks he had it. This person thinks they had it. I had it in January. Other guys from my production crew had it. I've said this before, and I don't want to bore people who have heard this before, but I have to tell you, Sonny, is I had the convulsions and the shakes in my basement for 2.5 days. My lungs sounded like 2 bowls of soup for 10 days. It was severe. It was very severe. And a lot of the guys from my crew had the same thing, different severities, right? So this was January, and then a doctor posted on Twitter and said, if you had a severe upper respiratory infection from November to February, I've got news for you. You already had the coronavirus. So there's some bullshit going on with this.
When you said that, bro, and then even today, since you said that, what was it, a week and a half ago when you revealed that, or maybe it was even longer than that, we just keep getting hit with stuff. Man, over Christmas vacation, our whole family, no one's been sick. Like, we were all hemmed up.
My brother was knocked down, dude. My brother sent me a picture with his hoodie up, and he pulled the string so this much of his face was showing. He was laying in his basement with like 5 blankets on top of him. Just goes, dude, I'm so sick, it's ridiculous. So a lot of people had it, and I want to know at what point Feinstein and these other people that sold their stock, I want to know when they knew this shit was hitting the United States.
Right.
I want to know how early that was in reality. I want a Freedom of Information Act, which will probably be sought on those documents on when the Intelligence Committee and the Health and Human Services and everybody else knew that this stuff was already here.
I truly hope, that Trump and his team are really preparing some really, really, really hardcore punches. I really hope. I'm not holding, high expectations, but deep down, I truly hope, because whatever it would take, whether it would take truth serum or them spending a couple nights in the basement with some nasty individuals like myself, but the information that we would get from those people, I think it would absolutely fucking shock.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. All you got to do is disclose the information that's there. That's all not public information, but it's a digital footprint. Whoever she invested that money through, whoever those people invested, whatever firm, whatever brokerage, the footprint is there that they did it. All we got to do is disclose that and then be like, why'd you do this? What, you know what I mean? It's just...
Dude, hold the presses. So Scott Lambden, who's a veteran, he's a well-trained individual, said, my son was running 102, 103 temp for about 3 to 4 days in January. Then listen to this, Wes Gillum, who's a good friend. He was a helicopter pilot and has done a lot of tours of duty. He said, that's how my mom was when she died the 2nd of January.
Wow.
I had a lot of accounts from people that have trained with me in seminars in gun community, but some of them not from January. Some of them are from back in December and late November.
Yeah,
even earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for your loss, Wes. That's rough stuff there, man.
And that's right on the heels of the wargaming. That's right on the heels of the Event 201 wargaming, which I think took place October 2019. And so much of this kicked off right after it. Ladies and gentlemen, go to the website. If you can find it, it's been posted everywhere about Event 201. And read literally the summary of what it's about. It is a literal iteration of what the fuck is happening right now. Literally.
Bill Gates funded the whole thing. And then Bill Gates, what did he do, Bill? What did he do, Jeffrey, just recently?
He decided to step back and focus on philanthropy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He steps down from Microsoft and Berkshire Hathaway all of a sudden. That's
like Bill Clinton stepping down and working on sleep therapy, dude. I mean, let's address this as what it is, because like you said, there can be only so many coincidences. You know what I mean? This is for a boy to be wargaming it and then have this happen and him step down. I mean, all of this is unprecedented. And not only just him, so many people stepped down over the last month from, Disney, Apple, or whatever, McDonnell Douglas, I'm not buying any of these coincidences. And now when we see some of these people were selling their stock before this popped off, it's just further proof that there was some level of pre-knowledge to this. So,
yeah. Now, Sonny, let me ask you, National Guards being deployed nationwide. We've seen pictures of long trains hauling a lot of Hummers, a lot of Humvees rolling up I-55 towards Chicago. I don't know where they've staged themselves at, obviously south of the city somewhere. They haven't rolled into the city as far as I know, but I have seen a lot of pictures also of military folks that have rolled into cities. And I got a picture earlier, and people say, wait a minute, that's pictures of the military parade in San Diego. Well, there's no parade route where these M1 Abrams and these Bradley fighting vehicles are. There's nobody along the street, and these things go for a long ways. It's a picture from a high rise down on top of them. What are your thoughts on, a lot of people are saying, the type of people that are saying this, oh, they're just being sent out to assist with testing stations,
the medical
for
aspect,
coronavirus.
yes.
And I don't know how many test kits you can carry in a Bradley fighting vehicle or an M1 Abrams, but I'm just thinking they're not necessarily needed if they're just doing testing.
Right.
No, Pat, it has very easy explanation, and listen how logical it is. No, because expectations are that panic will increase and there could be some bad folks that will start rioting and looting. So we're just asking National Guard to prevent the riots and looting, and to they're not going to do anything to suppress your freedoms or your freedom of movement. And just today news comes out about Department of Justice asking for different authorizations as far as arrest, pre-arrest, post-arrest, and all of those regulations.
And I posted today something from the CDC from 2017.
Indefinite detainment without
but that is not. But that is under Department of Justice. So this is not through military.
Department of Defense.
They don't need to put in a total war footing. They don't need to put in martial law. The only thing that's needed, which already has been declared, which is state of emergency.
And I posted something from 2017 today from the CDC. They were asking for expanded powers on who they could quarantine, and that was back in 2017. But I saw that DOG thing drop today, where you're exactly right. They can just disappear you. They can just snatch you up.
I'm not saying that we have any kind of definitive proof on the paper, because we don't, that this is what's being prepared for and all that. But again, I'm asking folks to think. And people say, well, you're being paranoid. There is an old saying, better paranoid and alive than stupid and dead. But
you can't play that card anymore. And I'm not breaking my arm, patting ourselves on the back because conspiracy theorists are vindicated or we're taking some kind of victory lap. Every element of collapse is here. They've closed down every business, from your international business to your local bar and everything in between. They've hyperinflated the economy with dollars, which is going to create hyperinflation and devalue the dollar. They're mobilizing whatever on the streets because they're anticipating social unrest. And retirement people have had their retirement wiped out over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, this is every ingredient you could possibly ask for the hugest reset we could possibly imagine.
Nothing like that has ever happened in history.
Ever.
Nothing.
Unprecedented.
This is absolutely unprecedented. I will agree with you. I don't want to be. Actually, I don't give a shit if people accuse me of that, but I'm not the one who just, stirs up the panic button. I'm not. I want people to remain calm. I don't want them to panic, but I want them to fucking take off their little rosy shades and look at it and ask very direct and brutal question. And I'm sorry if language, especially for ladies watching, may be inappropriate. How many times you have to be slapped across the face with a dick to realize that you are being freaking sexually assaulted? How many times? Once, twice, 15? Does it have to continue for 2 days?
If it's that many times, then you like it. If you do it 15, then you like it.
And I mean, I understand the need for us to stay positive. I understand the need for us to not, spread gloom and doom and all that stuff. But when you because of that, you become willfully delusional.
Yeah. It's that Stockholm syndrome.
There is a name for it. You became slave on your own accord.
Right.
You gave up. You gave up.
And that was that Aldous Huxley thing.
Wrong.
Yeah.
When you suspect things and you go like, you know what? I was too suspicious. I was too, neurotic about it. Okay, maybe I should change my diet or whatever, right? But to wake up one day and find out that you have shackles.
Right.
because for 5 years you didn't realize that you're getting slapped with a dick. I don't know, man. Not me.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. It's been a social engineering. They've done this so many times. They've pushed the thing down the line and seen what we're willing to accept. And they have to. I know they've extrapolated the data on each time these things have gone down. Where's the line for these guys? And they pushed it further and further. But I think there's always that room for that fear-based and that trauma-based. You scare the shit out of people, and you just create that kind of like helplessness. But I mean, yeah, dude,
You can already see it in the cities, man. I was driving through North Dallas today, after farmers market, and I stopped at a couple of places to pick a couple of things up, and you can see this almost like deflated personalities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're like, I'm screwed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can feel it, that spirit in the store, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, this is like 1991 in Soviet Union, where people went
wow.
We at the end of times. You know what I mean?
And I don't want to give people too much
breaking
credit
down.
in this, but I think and I said this to a friend of mine, it's like people are starting to get it. Even whatever you want to call them, the people who aren't into conspiracy, they're just starting to see through it. And like even me, I fucking chew on this shit forever. And I'm that person almost. I'm starting to think, not was screwed, but I'm saying to myself, man, do I even realize it? Do people realize where this is going in 8 weeks, 6, in through 2-3 months, where this is going to be? And it scares the shit out of me, quite frankly.
Yeah,
and it's not a doom and gloom.
On my Facebook, my brother said they shut you down, and it's saying trying to reconnect.
All right, that's not the first time. Facebook loves us.
So we shut down?
No, we're good.
No,
we're good.
We're still going on Skype. We're still going. But I want to ask you, Sonny, the banking sector, here's the thing, we've got we're back, baby. We're back. We lost about half of our viewers.
It's quite all right.
But that was deliberate to shut us down, apparently. But here's the interesting thing. I had a banker who I know who's watching. The derivatives market, they're talking about the government suspending mortgage payments to the banks for up to a year. What are the bankers going to do? The bankers have insurance, but when the excuse me, when the American dollar, it's not coronavirus, I swear.
Quarantine.
When the American dollar is worth nothing. Yeah, I don't want to comp on you guys on the screen even. But the derivatives market, when that bubble bursts, Katie bar the door, man. It's over. But I want to hear from John DeDonker, if you're still on, man. He's a banking guy, and anybody else in the banking industry, chime in with any questions you guys have. I want to know from you guys. I have questions for you guys on what the hell you're going to do when you can't get any mortgage payments caused in.
So I'm saying,
go
ahead, bro.
Financially, to me, it's this. I'm certainly not, as well versed in all the issues, financial and derivatives market and all that stuff. Here's what I know, man. Anything that you don't hold in your hands in times like that is not yours. Right? So I heard, I've been circling in this interesting circles of people that call themselves anarcho-capitalists and all that stuff, where it's all about the bitcoins and all the other stuff, and they swear by it and Ethereum.
Did we lose Sonny?
Nope, we're here, bro. Keep going, Sonny.
One button shuts down your internet access, and you don't have nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
So the currency is what? Here's the first currency. Be prepared, be skilled.
There you go.
This is your first currency. Second currency, have something that always has value, regardless of what. What always has value? Some people will say gold, some people will say silver, some people will say guns, some people will say ammunition. It's capabilities to function in non-permissive environments. That always has value. That will attract like-minded and like-prepared people to you.
Right.
Now you can create little mini communities of people doing this stuff.
Bingo.
If it goes to that level.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I was just saying this. I think as this progresses and as we reset, all right, I was not near as prepared. I think a lot of people who've seen through this are I'm not playing that game in the cities anymore. You're going to see more of this kind of agrarian, rural people who are, communities coming together who are not falling for the banana in the tailpipe shit anymore. And they realize the ramifications of when things really do go sideways, like they will here, and they reset. It's like, we got to do what we can not to happen, for that not to happen again. We can't be on the dole of the state and the government, etc.
Let's give credit where it's due. Let's give credit for people going more agrarian after this passes to mini Mike Bloomberg, because he said that farming is easy. Anyone can do it.
It is true. I mean, that's very true. I mean, a lot of people, as long as you do it. I mean, you have to do it in time.
No, it's not easy. It's a science. That's the thing. Try and grow tomatoes. Everybody that tried to grow tomatoes this year grew a shitty crop of tomatoes. You're going to know what you're doing. I had decent tomatoes. I didn't have great tomatoes, but I had decent tomatoes.
Bro, I've seen your crop every year, man. You go ape shit with your stuff, bro.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I wish we had done some canning.
Yeah.
My God, I could have a basement.
Well, you had so much, you were giving shit away.
I was giving it away to all the neighbors, my brother, my sister. I'm giving it to everybody, man. Yeah, come get some tomatoes, come get some cucumbers.
You had peppers, you had the whole nine, dude.
Well, that's gonna be your currency this year.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I find that interesting. The different, see, like you said, we think money is just this thing, the paper, whatever. But like you said, it's just things that have a certain value. Maybe you can barter for something. That's still currency. If people need, again, that's part of the reset. That's a part of what's going to happen is people, when this reset occurs, they're not going to be so reliant on this paper fiat currency, which isn't worth shit, and they can take the value away with the touch of a button. You're exactly right, dude.
And I think the result of this is going to be, when people paying attention to stock market because they think it's some kind of an indicator of economy. No, stock market is indicator of trust. Yeah. Stock market is indicator of trust and public sentiment. Public sentiment is what? Is how their feelings and thoughts are manipulated by whom? By the same people we already talked about.
Right.
Yeah. The casino.
So when you're looking at it, there is no recovery for stock market. There will be some, ups and downs and all that once this is all through. But when you look at it, what happened here? Do you know how many people will pull out of all of their 401ks and all that stuff?
If it hasn't been pulled out for them, if they haven't lost everything.
If there's anything left when they pull it out.
Whatever is going to be left of it, right? And I don't know. I think in the, more of a positive note, I think that if this doesn't turn too bloody, this in the long term can have actually positive effects.
Absolutely.
I think even if it does turn bloody, I mean, you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs. It's always darkest before the dawn. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Not too bloody.
Yeah,
too bloody measurement is, we don't want it to get into millions, right?
Well, like we said with last night with Peranto, he's like, stay calm. Like, you're Chris Peranto. Your barometer of calm is different. Like, too bloody for you is probably a little different than everybody else, maybe. But I feel what you're saying. I feel you, though.
Joseph Stalin said, one death is a tragedy. 1 million is a statistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh,
yeah.
Man.
So let's go back, now that you mentioned Stalin, let's go back in history, and let's talk about the end of the World War II and where all the Nazis went, because Germany lost the war, the Nazis did not, as we well know. Anybody that's researched this, there were many, many Nazis who escaped to South America. Many Nazis were brought here. Scientists who worked on projects at NASA, when NASA was started, scientists who were doing experiments on children, horrible experiments on children and women, and that continued here in this country. And if people think that our country and its history and what's going on now isn't affected by, past Marxism and the Nazi regime and the testing and all the other, look, the Tuskegee experiments and all the other shit that's gone on, we know that comes from the Nazi branch and the people that infiltrated this country. And that shit is alive and well, man. It is alive and well. And what we're seeing today is a spawn of that type of thinking and that type of mastermind.
History is funny thing, Pat. It's really funny thing. When we look at history and how it's written and how it's being repeated and what's being pushed, that probably scares me the most about our education system.
Yeah.
Because people are being made...
Indoctrination, baby.
It's indoctrination that even Joseph Goebbels, and he's probably spinning in the grave in envy.
Right?
I wish I
that?
came up with something like that.
Right.
I wish.
Yeah.
And see, and that's the fine line between people like us. When we first started this show, Pat and I, we need to and we have, I think, redefine that term conspiracy, because everybody thinks conspiracy is just Bigfoot type stuff. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's unfortunate that so many times we wind up illustrating things that wind up happening to come true. And it's, not, again, not to pat ourselves on the back, but it's just what it is, man.
You mean you guys are conspiring to be objective? That's terrible.
I mean, we're critical thinkers. Oh, my God. The thought police are coming after us.
Well, contrarian thought is healthy. In the initial phases of when your brain opens up. Now, you were exposed to this stuff early on, Sonny, in your life. You know, having been through warfare, having dealt with a lot of hardship in the job you had in Russia and the Soviet Union breakup and all the other shit that happened. You know, you are hardened by that sort of experience. But Americans have never experienced this, right? Americans have no clue what they're about to see, no clue how bad this could possibly. I'm not saying it to scare people. I'm saying it because I want people to be prepared. I want people to understand that, hey, man, you need to, I've always been somebody who was a visualizer in life, in getting ready for big world title fights, for anything. I always visualized the worst happening and getting out of it and figuring it out. I visualized horrible situations and being able to figure my way out of it. I've always been that way. And so my brain has, at least, although I haven't experienced the hardships that we're dealing with, I have imagined this stuff a lot, and I've thought about what my process and what I would do to get the hell out of it. But you've got firsthand experience, so it's much different.
You know, Pat, it's like this. Most fighters, and I'm not necessarily saying in the context of me and you talking, you know, fighting in the ring, fighting for your life or whatnot. Fighter is something that's here.
Right.
Most fighters, they will use visualization to put themselves in pretty much inescapable. You're back to the wall. And it's very important brain conditioning. It's very important character building exercise. Everyone should do that. But think about, again, how programmed most Westerners are to avoid that at any cost. The entertainment. We're not being pushed into hard situations through entertainment. It's strictly to relieve the stress of daily life. Really, you have to wake up at 7 and go to work and live in the 2,000 square foot luxury home with air conditioner for you. For you. I really fucking feel for you. You know, let me entertain you to take off your damn stress, right? But this is how we make soft men. This is how we make soft country. And softness is easy to roll whichever way you want.
And that's been cultural, too. We've talked about it, Pat, you know, putting square dancing in instead of whatever, home ec or something. Everyone gets a participation trophy. I saw a video of the kid who, you know, Mom, I want the new iPhone. It's out. And he couldn't get it, so he wrecked the iPhone he had. He just destroyed it in front of his. I mean, it was just this little entitlement in these puss-ass kids, dude, that, like you said, have never been faced with any kind of adversity. It's just troubling. And so
it's like you're saying, where they implemented, the liberals implemented a newer, softer, because a good friend of mine, I won't say his name because I don't want him to be in the hot seat, who was former head of Army Physical Ready, and he was one of the head guys of Iowa Physical Fitness when the liberals came in and started implementing all the bullshit and getting rid of dodgeball because a kid might get hit with one of the soft red balls in the face. God forbid, you know, a kid cries. All of this shit across this country and quiet time and safe spaces and all this shit was conditioning to get everybody ready to fail, man. Get everybody ready to fail under tough circumstances. Man, I grew up in a house that flooded with water every time it rained. I lived in the basement. It was a garage in the basement that got turned into a bedroom for me and my brothers. We lived in a basement with black mold. Trust me, man, I've had it tough in my life. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay no matter what. But it is. Here's the thing. My children are tough. They are tough, not necessarily to societal collapse, but they are tough because they've endured horrible workouts their whole lives. They've been swimmers and rowers and all this other shit, and we've disciplined them to be tough. And they are tough, and they are dealing with all of this really well, actually. And we're having a good time as a family. And people need to understand that they need to do the same thing with their kids. Toughen them up. Don't listen to society. Don't let them pussify your children. Toughen your children up and toughen yourself up and get ready for any eventuality that might come your way as a family and as a society. Right,
Nice,
Sonny?
Yeah, you know, people ask me sometimes, they go like, what would be the biggest, most important stuff that you can do for the future? You know, the answer is, and I truly believe that, pull your fucking kids out of public schools.
For real, dude.
Get them out. Now, I know the hardships that come with it with homeschooling. I know most people can't afford private schools. And do something, because you're allowing them to be injected with cancer from which there is no cure. There isn't.
It is.
And it's going to be cancer. It is going to be cancer that's going to envelop the whole damn society. And this is where it's going to be the end of the empire.
It is. It's just an assembly line. And there's this assembly line of just morons, dude. I mean, you might learn some book stuff or whatever, but there's no level of critical thinking in that. And even just the information they give you is just such basic bullshit. I mean,
they do not teach to think. They teach to memorize,
exactly,
and submit.
Precisely.
That's what they teach.
And then it becomes like, hey, why isn't Susie learning like Johnny? Well, because he's got ADHD, LMNOP. Let's jump him, throw him on some Ritalin and blah, blah. I mean, and then that just takes over their. I mean, yeah, it's all. And we've got into that before with the whole Franklin School and the whole, that whole programming. But yeah,
the Frankfurt infiltration.
Frankfurt, yeah.
A century ago almost. Really, most liberals don't even know why they think the way they do. The professors that are lunatic liberals right now and Marxists don't even understand why they think the way they do, and don't understand the history of how it became that way. But I'm going to ask you, Sonny.
They never read about the Prussian model of education. They don't know that it actually started back in 17th century in France, not in Prussia.
Right, right.
All this stuff is not new.
Yeah. So let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you. In a conversation I had with a good friend of mine who's a former naval special operator, SEAL team guy. He goes, let them deploy the National Guard. He goes, I'll kill 1,000 of them in like a day. He goes, they have no clue what I'm capable of. And you're.
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
Dude,
well,
I mean,
in a way, it is funny. How long is it going to take when veterans who are former special forces guys who have so much experience in combat like yourself, and they decide to band together and go, you know what, we've had enough of this shit. How long does it take them to take out an entire National Guard unit? I mean, really? Pat, I'll let you in on the secret. It doesn't take us banding together. It doesn't take us standing in the battlefield in front of them. It takes one or two crazy skilled and kind of devious thinking with devious training people to go to certain places where every National Guardsman, every police officer no longer feels safe for their own families. How many of them will go to work the next day?
Right.
And that's what I think is going to happen too when the cops do get deployed. And let me ask you, and God, I can't believe I forgot about this. The horn of Gondor that's been sounded to the criminals. Montana just said they're going to release criminals and not arrest certain criminals when they commit certain offenses. Los Angeles, Philadelphia, everywhere. They're letting people out.
Louisiana.
Everywhere. What are your? I mean, again, that's another spoke on this wheel. How is this not the perfect storm? Every recipe together for a collapse.
Oh, come on, Jeffrey. It's coincidence.
It's coincidence. Of course it is. I mean, again, like, that's what freaks me out, man. It's just.
You guys keep talking. You for a second to get on me.
And again, it's not a doom and gloom thing because I don't like doing that. Again, like I said with the show, me and Pat have always tried to present stuff. Hey, what if about this? Just alternative thoughts on certain stories or whatever. And, the Gulf of Tonkin didn't happen. I'm sorry if that, upsets your sensibility. But when we talk about
nobody knows what Gulf of Tonkin is unless they've listened to us for a while.
The Gulf of Tonkin, the incident that started the Vietnam War, or any of these things that we've gotten into that precipitated these fake wars. But it's not doom and gloom to just simply say, they're collapsing the global economy because look at the numbers. They're hyperinflating the economy with just creating more stuff. Everybody's out of work. Bellies are about to empty. Oh, what are those Humvees coming into my city? Again, these are all things that just lead me to believe.
People can't put two and two together.
They have to be able to at this point. I mean, at this point, it's really not splitting the fucking atom. It's so apparent.
Many cannot. At least the people that are listening to us can, but many cannot. You wouldn't believe the people that harass and call me a lunatic for just putting two and two together that you and I normally understand as simple math.
And again,
it's difficult for a lot of Americans who are just like, wait a minute, dude, why are you spreading fear? I go, what do you mean spreading fear? There was actual videos of a line of Humvees 10 miles long rolling up towards Chicago. How is that spreading fear?
Again, yeah, and that's what we are.
Coming towards your city.
If as you're driving down the road and you slow down and I'm like, hey, bro, that bridge is out up there, man, about a half mile up there, and you choose to just keep going and fly off the bridge that's not there, that's not my fault. We've done what we're supposed to do. Like, hey, this is what it is. We're not going to save everybody, man. That's just what it is, right? And to the notion that we should try, we just are presenting the message, and you can do what you will. Everybody's an adult.
I tell people, a lot of people that come to train, they ask me, they go like, what do you read? And I always tell that next to one book that everyone should have. Again, I'm not, pushing the faith, the Bible or whatnot, but I tell them this: get yourself a little book written by this young woman who got away from Soviet Union named Ayn Rand, and that book is called The Virtue of Selfishness.
Yes.
Read it, understand what it's saying, and a lot of things in this situation will become much clearer as to what's going on.
Ayn
Rand, The Virtue of Selfishness.
Also the author of Atlas Shrugged, yeah.
Atlas Shrugged, yes.
Atlas
artist.
Shrugged was her, novel. The
Right,
Virtue of
right.
Selfishness is more of a philosophy book about the actual virtue of being selfish.
Right.
And some people,
And-
because think about through education what we've been told, that being selfish is a negative thing. No, it's, you know what? Do we love other people because we are selfless? No, we're getting something out of it.
Right.
We're getting something out of it. Whatever that something is, whether it makes us feel appreciated or good or loved, or we feel like we're taking care of somebody or whatnot, we're getting something out of it. This whole freaking thing of, selfless society, inclusivity, the equality. And people go, what is equality? I'm like, equality of opportunity, you have it. Work hard and you may succeed. But no, now it's equality of outcome. Everyone is the same. No, we fucking not.
Right.
We're not. You know what I mean? This is cancer at the deep level, man. This is not a skin cancer.
Right.
This is bone marrow cancer that's been introduced to education, and that's why we have these soft people that are crying for pretty much martial law to prevent the little bug infecting grandma and I'm not making fun of this.
No,
this is serious.
yeah.
This is personal for people. But you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
You know what I mean? How many times has been said, when you're willing to give up liberty for security, you don't deserve either.
You deserve neither.
Yes. Right. 100%. And, a lot of people are saying, well, what's the solution? What's the solution? Well, all I can say is that I can only hope, and Jeff will probably say bullshit like he always does, which I'm okay with, that Trump is who he says he is, and that he kills the Federal Reserve, and that he starts a gold-backed treasury note and says piss off to everybody else, and everybody's zeroed out, and we start over. I don't know if that's possible, though. I don't know how that whole thing. Nobody knows how that's going to play out because nobody's ever seen this.
Well, he just signed off and renewed the NDAA. He just signed off for this $2 trillion in the last week. Like, how is he this super? And again, maybe he's just reacting and kind of only doing what he can do at this point. But for me, he's done some pretty cool superficial stuff. But deep down, I've seen some serious globalist tendencies, bro.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know what to think about it, man. From the choices we had once it was clear that Mr. Rand Paul is not going anywhere, from the choices we had, me and my wife, we celebrated that Trump and not Hillary stepped into that chair.
Right.
Yeah.
But looking at what's going on, it's a hard pull, man, because I also, neither one of us knows what it's like to be in position he's in. What kind of machine did you step into?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What things you find out when you sit in that chair?
Right.
What's behind what? Who rules what? And what are the consequences of pulling certain plugs?
Yes.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is some heavy shit, man. This is not a chess game on the board in your living room. This is chess game where when the one figurine gets touched, people die.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not envying anyone being in position of Trump or Putin or people of that caliber. I'm not.
And that's the same. Someone told me that a long time ago. Very good. My best friend, dude. When I would talk shit about whoever president was, and we could easily sit here, in Monday Night Quarterback or whatever they call it. But his line to me was, "You never ran a country before." I mean, and however things play out, you have to make some hard fucking decisions, even in peacetime. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I feel that. I feel that we can all get caught up in kind of the.
But overall, I'm looking at it. He has made a number of steps that are outside of globalism. The Paris Accord, the NAFTA, few other things. These are not very small things. These are multi-billion-dollar things that did get changed.
Right.
On the other hand, we're still getting involved in Syria. We're still meddling here and there.
Taking out Soleimani. I mean, again, that's why I think he understands the optics. Man, I can't be bringing hundreds of thousands of troops anymore.
I don't know, man. With the whole Soleimani thing, I think it's a very, very deep chess game. Look,
not even just that. Like at the State of the Union, when he introduces Maduro, the completely not even really president, Democratic elected president, whether you like socialism or not, it's not even really about that. How are you going to introduce this guy who's not even president as the legitimate president of Venezuela? That's that kind of imperialist colonial shit that we've been doing forever. That's that neocon bullshit.
Jeffrey, I wish we could get someone like the mix of, mix of Rand Paul with Ayn Rand and freaking Einstein into the office.
Clone a perfect president.
But it's not going to happen. So I look at it and I go like, this much of a change, 2-degree change today may become 50-degree change 50 years from now.
Sure. I
will take small steps. I don't expect absolutism does not work in life in any area of life. Absolutism doesn't work. Like anarchist friends, they say, anarcho-capitalists, no masters, no government, abolish this, abolish that. And I'm like, okay, so you want to abolish Federal Reserve. You cannot truly abolish Federal Reserve until IRS exists. So there's going to have to be steps. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, so this economic collapse, who is going to affect? Who's not getting taxes into their coffins? IRS.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe there's really devious, very smart thinking that this is maybe a small step in that direction.
Yeah, kill the IRS potentially.
The possibilities are endless, and again, like we've had on a few people, and I appreciate your candor and your, not deliberate ambiguity. Like I'm just not sure. You know what I mean? You're not just throwing out absolutes because you think you know what it is. I mean, we obviously appreciate your insight and your perspective on this, but it's it's refreshing to hear that, like, because literally this is going to play out for a long time, and we don't know where exactly this is going to go. This could either this could go to fucking. This is definitely. It could go to Thunderdome, or it could be petered out in a few weeks. Who knows? That's where we're at, and anything in between.
Now let's go back to, and we talked about this before. The arrests that have been going on, per Q saying that mass arrests are going on and all this other stuff and everything else. Go ahead and yawn. Don't make. I'm going to come through the. So anyway, we talked about the Mexican cartel. 200 and whatever number of them in America were arrested. We talked about heavy arrests of mafia folks in Italy. But just yesterday, news broke, and it was legit news that over 300 in government and power positions in Saudi Arabia were scooped up.
I saw that. That was like a week ago. Yeah.
So this look at the more I'm hearing this stuff, I'm going, wait a minute. Is this a cleanup operation? What's going on? Is it?
You know what? Just by the virtue of me listening to what mass news saying, Saudi Arabia and Russia are going to the war about oil prices to weaken America.
Yeah.
But then I'm listening to what Trump, Putin, or Saudi officials are saying about it. And then I'm going, I've been judging a lot of things lately because, in my opinion, and I'm biased, this world has not seen a smarter, more skilled chess player in the politics than Putin in the past 100 years.
Yeah,
he hasn't said practically a one single negative thing about Trump's presidency.
Right.
He hasn't said nothing about this price war with Saudi Arabia. And I'm thinking, is there actually some kind of under the table something? Could be. It's conspiracy. It's just in my head playing out as a wishful thinking. And it could be. I pray to God it is.
Yeah,
but if it isn't, well, I guess we'll see how it plays out. If it isn't, things will get really bad. If it is, it's going to be temporary bad for some amazing, amazing reset. But we
So
don't know.
give us your what you remember about when the Soviet Union fell, because I remember watching, being glued to the TV, going, "Holy shit, the Soviet Union's collapsing." How long did everybody know that was coming, or the signs that it could be happening before it actually went down?
People with objective minds, with skills to think objectively, I think saw that from about early 80s.
Okay.
I was too young to understand it then. You know what I mean? I was still a teenager. By the time I went to military in the late 80s, the signs were many. The signs were many. The inflation levels, the certain industries getting shut down after shutdown because of lack of supplies, because of lack of this. People all of a sudden not getting paid. Unemployment absolutely skyrocketing. You follow me? What's happening? Because currently it's very similar.
I was saying I could see the parallel. They just shut down the big three the other day.
Yeah. And so when it finally started crumbling and it actually fell, and this is again, I know your listeners are not the average Joes, but nevertheless, if people think Wild Wild West was wild, folks, let me tell you, Soviet Union was the country with absolutely no civilian gun control. Gentlemen, I was a young punk of 17 running around with guns. That's before military. That's before it fell apart. That was already happening. Yeah. When it did, we were having fun. When I came back from military after Soviet Union fell apart and all that, we were having fun, drinking a lot of vodka, driving around drunk, doing stupid shit. And someone looks at you and wrong because they're driving a little bit faster BMW than your Mercedes, and they wave a little Makarov at you. You just pull out your AK out the window and you empty the magazine into the air just to kind of let. And meanwhile, there's a police patrol standing by the side of the road, and no one does anything about it.
Wow.
That is Wild Wild West is nothing.
When it sounds like that, sounds like it's a harbinger of what we're about to see, man. Literally, it's like
if this stuff happens, no one will be there to protect you but you.
Right.
Your responsibility to be ready for a fight will be on you, and if you're not ready already.
What was that line you said? Your first line of currency is what? Being something in a
having skills and capabilities to function in non-permissive environments.
Words to live by right there, ladies and gentlemen. Not just during this, but as you proceed in life. That is definitely a life lesson right there. Because it ain't always sunshine and rainbows for all you folks that thought otherwise. And we are definitely about to see how things can get. And God, I'd seriously pray that this cooler heads prevail. I pray for, like what Chris Pronto said last night, we prepare for the worst, we wish for the best, prepare for the worst.
It's going to sound crazy. I hope and I actually pray that all three of us are crazy and insane and we're absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'd like to say about Q. I wish, when the seed was planted with me when I knew our government blew our fucking president's head off in broad daylight, sitting next to his wife. And then it just continued from there. All these legal wars, et cetera, et cetera. So I want some accountability. Dianne Feinstein, whatever, whether it's modern day stuff or old, it always has pissed me off because there's never been any accountability. And even the Russian collusion and Mueller, you can't have the Fox investigating what happened with the hen house. We never see any fucking accountability. And that's what frustrates me. So I want Q to be right. I really do. But I do believe it's hope porn or whatever. But long story short, brother, I want to thank you because I got a slide, Pat.
Yeah, man. No, this has been amazing.
Sonny, this isn't going anywhere, right? So we want you back here 3 weeks, couple weeks down the line, just to get your get your thoughts on what's happening. Because as this develops, I would love to hear your insight and perspective as this continues.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just let me know ahead of time because when I'm on my farm, my internet connection there is a little bit weaker. So it's better when I come to the city.
For sure.
And even if it's locked down, I will find my way in here.
This is too easy of a joke, but on your farm, are you growing potatoes for vodka, being Russian and all?
Pat, now you're insulting me. Russians don't do potatoes for vodka. We use grain.
Oh, you
Polish
use
people.
strain.
Polish-
Okay, I
Polish
apologize.
people do potatoes for vodka.
You think he's
Come
drinking?
on.
You think he's drinking pop off over here, bro? Come on. Hey, Sonny, shout out any social networking stuff. I know you have your school, your training facility. Give us a little social network or where we can find you and track you down and see what you're up to.
Yeah, so if you look for Sonny Puzikas or Forward Training Concepts or Fort Honey Badger, you will find me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube. You can also look up Gospel of Violence on YouTube. Other than that, I'm in East Texas. I'm about 2 hours east of Dallas. We have organic farm. We have training facility with live fire range and many other things happening there. It's a private facility. It's not public. I have my own water source. I have many other things that I can survive for a long time without government assistance. And I teach people. It's my passion. It's, I talk openly. I'm not very much liked by many people because maybe I'm too much of an ass with my opinions, but it is what it is.
You're honest, bro. You're honest.
Maybe that's why me and Pat kind of coming from in essence of background of violence and some suffering and we'll look at things maybe a little bit more pragmatically than many folks out there.
And that's why I love getting the perspective. Being in Dallas, bro, when all of this calms down, we do nice big numbers in Dallas, man. So I would love to have you come to our live event when we do the Conspiracy Farm on the road down Dallas.
Yes, please
go do some training. Go do some training with Sonny.
Yeah, that would be an absolute pleasure.
I would love to have you at Fort Honey Badger there in East Texas because we can do stuff there that is only being done behind the closed doors in Fort Bragg. And
that's what's up, dude. SonnyPuzikas.com, ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show. I wish you so much well. I wish you and your wife, your new wife, fairly new now, but peace, happiness, blessings, dude. Stay safe, stay well. TheConspiracyFarm.com. Pat and I are working from home. Support the show, support the sponsors, baby. That allows us to do what we're doing because, well, we don't really have a fucking choice right now. We're kind of locked in. So peace and so much love, you guys. Thank you for supporting the show. We got some killer stuff lined up tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. In the next couple of days, we got James Corbett from the Corbett Report and Dr. James P. Farrell, Oxford scholar, coming on. We are just keeping the bangers coming for you guys because I know you guys are sitting around doing nothing and you need some cool stuff.
Heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters, man.
Sonny's one of the heaviest hitters out there, baby.
Damn straight.
We love it. Thank you so much, brother.
Absolutely. Peace, guys.
Right,
enjoy your weekend.
Guys.
Thank you, Sonny. Stay safe, brother, and be good. Peace, guys.
you.
Take care.